This is Reality Dispatch, written by Jim Mintz.
Maybe he's not here, Detective Freeman suggested. They stood in the VIP box seats of Skyview Stadium, Toronto. It was the playoffs game day. There were 83,000 screaming Blue Jay fans, a couple hundred for the Tigers. That's how Detective Munch framed it. A sea of blue and black and none of orange. The shame of it. Someone had called in a threat, a sophisticated threat. The note was meticulous and didn't leave a hint of DNA or fingerprints. It was constructed from a carbon fiber polyurethane synthetic material not known for any manufacturing capabilities anywhere near Canada. A quick Google search informed that someone had to have had it made in Amsterdam or Indonesia. Roger Dayton was a guest of Live Sports, the competitive wing of Live magazine that had a soft launch in October that year. He had been assigned to cover some iconic moments from the games, and for his trouble, was a guest in the bleachers of the VIP lounges equipped with champagne flutes, hors d'oeuvres, and mini pies. The chairs reclined, and there was a personalized waiter per admittee. The benefits of such a service were experienced for the better half of 30 minutes before the local area command of the Toronto Police took hold of the facility for the purposes of staking out the threat that they had said was in full motion. "He's here," said Munch. "He's definitely here." The instructions from the police were simple. Go about your business. Pretend that there is not a heavy police presence in the room watching the crowd while the game continues on the field below. A request easier made than enacted. Everyone had become wise to the threat that the police said was clear and present. Someone had manufactured a new form of sniper rifle, and it was their intention to use this weapon on a player in the second half of the match. The threat was delivered at 11 in the morning, 30 minutes to the kickoff. It was too late to evacuate the crowd, too late to screen them all. The note was accompanied by a video link that was encrypted on a private server that shifted location inside a different country every 15 seconds, making it completely undetectable. The video showed the weapon in operation on the streets of Istanbul, a set of glasses with the chamber of a weapon hidden in the side panel where the screws for the arms would usually rest. With the twitch of a cheek, the wearer could focus their gaze on their intended target and make sure the shot was made. The shooter could then flee the scene with the other attendees, hidden in the wash of the ocean of the crowd. "He knows we're watching him," Munch added. Roger felt useless. The game was unwatchable now that he knew the threat was real. He had his Pentax in the bag placed on his seat. He carried a second piece of glass, a 300mm telephoto lens for the shots he would have to take of the action of the game from a distance. "I might be able to help," he suggested to Munch. He retrieved the camera and the glass from their satchels inside his bag and wrapped them around his neck with the camera strap. He assembled the lens onto the chassis of the camera and began scanning the thousands in front of him on the other end of the stadium, moving from person to person with a twist of the lever to focus the lens accordingly. "That lens any good?" Munch asked as Dayton got to work. "It can tell you the color of a bee's asshole from this distance," Roger said. "All right, we're looking for glasses. Male. Caucasian males with glasses. The thicker the better. The thicker they are, the more likely they are housing a chamber inside the frame. Start scanning from the length of the top and go row by row. I'm getting a set of high-end binoculars sent to me from headquarters so I can go from the bottom up when they arrive." Roger did what he was told and began scanning. "What do I do when I see someone who matches the description?" he asked. "Tell me," Munch yelled. Roger intended to snap images of the intended targets in order to save time identifying the culprit should their place be lost in the sea of faces. The task was laborious. Every jolt of his arm or hand would lose him his place in the scan, like trying to find a needle in a stack of needles. No one wore glasses, and when they did, they were thin, or they would look thin, but not too thin. As in Roger's assessment, they would not fit the description, nor be capable of such a sophisticated attack. He took images of those he believed fit the bill anyway. He realized he had amassed close to 11 or 12 photos, and that was just on the top row. He hadn't informed Munch of his progress, and when he finished the top row 5 minutes later, he called the officer over. "Look through these," Roger instructed, holding up the LED screen to observe the citizens caught on camera. Munch looked over one by one. There were 15 images in total from an average of 700 people scanned. "These the only ones wearing glasses?" he asked, skeptically. "The only ones on the top row," Roger said. "I still have thousands more to go through." Munch handed him back the camera. "Keep going. Nothing there raises my eyebrows." Roger continued the scan. He looked from face to face to face. He improved his methodology and took an interest in those he was catching on frame. He made sure that he didn't take an image of an individual who didn't align at least 50% with the perception of the mysterious figure they were looking for. The game progressed and the halftime whistle rang out. "Shit!" Munch announced over a roar of Blue Jay fans who were up 12 points. "We're running out of time." An exodus began as those who were previously glued to their seats began to leave for the facilities and the food stop areas. "Keep looking," Munch said with his newly arrived binoculars glued to his face. "Sir, we're down in CCTV and have put out an AI recognition sequence that the stadium security have allowed us to use. It will scan all glass wearers who have entered the building since the gates opened at 11. The radio called out. A junior officer, Roger had gathered. "How long will that take?" Munch asked. "Ah," the officer replied. "Hard to say, sir." "Scrap it. The game will be over and a player will be dead by the time we've assessed all the faces," Munch yelled. "We do this the old-fashioned way. I want eyes on everyone. We look and we monitor, and we be diligent. If someone looks like the part, chances are they are the part. Go over and interrogate. I want no stones left unturned," he demanded. "Copy, sir." Roger caught a glimpse of a man in the far corner of the north wing, sitting alone as the crowd had dissipated. He somehow had missed him earlier. He sat alone watching the empty field below, void of all players except the ground crew who were setting up the stage area for the halftime show. The man had a deep set of glasses, but they weren't dark. They were thick but skin-toned. They blended into his features. He was handsome yet suspicious. He held the lens on the man and began to click away at the shutter. "What is it?" Munch asked, having noticed the clicking of the camera and the fact Roger hadn't moved the lens anywhere else, keeping his focus. "What is it?" Munch asked again. Roger removed the eyepiece from his eye and turned his gaze to Munch. "Look," he said as he showed the detective his LED screen. The images were clear in focus and stable. The man sat staring dead-eyed at the field. He placed one finger to his lens arm as if it were adjusting the focus point of his own camera. Or weapon. "Miguel!" Munch yelled out to the ground support from the office of the Skyview Stadium. "What area is that?" "That's the Gretzky stand, sir." "The East Gretzky stand." "Freeman!" Munch yelled. "I want all officers talking to this man here, sitting alone at the East Gretzky stand. Can you send this image out to my unit, Mr. Dayton?" Roger nodded. Munch addressed his radio inside his breast pocket. "All units, stand by for an incoming of the suspect. He is at the East Gretzky stand currently. I want all units to head over there now." Roger used the Bluetooth to send the image to his personal account, and from there sent it on to the detective by email. He placed the eyepiece back to his eye to observe the whereabouts of the suspect, and noticed the attendees who had left had returned. Yet the suspect's seat was empty. "Detective," Roger said. "What is it?" "He's gone." "What?" Munch placed his binoculars to his eyes and scanned the ocean of fans. The seat was empty, and there was no sign of the suspect. "Eyes open, people. Suspect is MIA, he yelled into his breast pocket radio. The game had ended, and the hometown crowd were happy at bearing witness to such a victory. Roger had left the VIP box and was happy to be away from the aggressively disappointed detective. He followed the crowd to the metro that ran underneath the stadium. As he stood amongst the attendees, a seat opened up on the train. It remained empty for the duration of the stops that it took back into the heart of the CBD. As the crowd dwindled, and Roger felt the leg fatigue set in, he allowed himself the indulgence of the chair. As he arrived to recline, he noticed the skin-toned, thick set of glasses sitting lonesome on the groove of the chair. The owner was nowhere in sight. The crowd were too polite to move them for access to the seat. Roger leaned into his bag and changed lenses back to the prime and attached it to his Pentax. He focused the lens on the frames as they rested on the train and snapped an image. He then clicked the Bluetooth into ignition and sent the image off to Detective Munch for comment. He included the following: "I'm off this train in 3 more stops. Someone left these behind. What do I do?" The seat beside the frames opened up and Roger sat down. He continued to monitor the frames and then back at his phone and waited.
For more stories of fact-based fiction, head to jimmins.substack.com.